Hello and welcome back. Today we're getting into the last section in Chapter 7, so 7.7 on product to sum to product formulas. Okay, so we're going to sort of recall some of the things we've seen previously in this chapter. So we're going to recall cosine of alpha minus beta, cosine alpha, cosine beta, and flip the sign, sine alpha, sine beta. And we also know that cosine of alpha plus beta. So we flip the betas, but remember cosine of beta and cosine minus beta are the same. So the start is unchanged. But sine of beta and sine of opposite of beta, y value, whether you're turning up or down, would flip. So this is minus sine alpha sine beta. Then if we add these two together, so just think of this as a little two equation system. If I add those together, notice sine alpha sine beta will drop, and we get cosine of alpha plus beta plus cosine of alpha minus beta is the same as, this was the same twice, so 2 cosine alpha cosine beta. And typically if we're going product to sum, we would get the product by itself. So we'll cut this in half and move this guy to the left side. So cosine alpha cosine beta is then half of cosine of alpha plus beta plus cosine of alpha minus beta. So that is one of our formulas. So from formula 1, we can get cosine of alpha minus beta minus cosine of alpha plus beta is equal to 2 sine of alpha sine of beta So we did that just finding the difference of 1 and 2. This was found using the sum of 1 and 2, so this would be the difference of 1 and 2. So we have the minus in between there, minus in between those guys, and plus and a minus of the same thing drop out, and then we have 2 of those guys. So same deal, we can get sine alpha sine beta by itself, and sine alpha sine beta is then half of cosine alpha plus, cosine of alpha minus beta minus cosine of alpha plus beta. Okay, some other facts from earlier in the chapter. Sine of alpha plus beta, sine alpha, cosine beta, keep the sign in the middle, and switch the alpha and beta. So sine beta cosine alpha, which means sine of alpha minus beta, sine alpha cosine of minus beta is the same as cosine beta. Sine of minus beta is the same as minus sine beta. We talked about rotating up versus down. That would flip the y values. And cosine alpha is along for the ride. And right now, you should see that if we add these together, the back end of this will drop off. So we have sine of alpha plus beta plus sine of alpha minus beta is 2 of these sine alpha cosine betas. And again, if we get the product alone, sine alpha cosine beta then is half of sine of alpha plus beta plus sine of alpha minus beta. That's another one of our handy dandy formulas. So exercising a couple of those. Take a look at being asked to work with sine of 5 theta over 7 times the cosine of 3 theta over 4. So on that one, we would use the sine alpha cosine beta is half of sine of alpha plus beta plus sine of alpha minus beta. So for this one, that is half of sine of alpha plus beta. So 5 theta over 7 plus 3 theta over 4 plus the sine of alpha minus beta, 5 theta over 7 minus 3 theta over 4. So half of sine of, that would be 20 theta plus 21 theta over 28 plus sine of 20 theta minus 21 theta also over 28. So half of sine of 41 theta over 28, 41 28 theta if you want to think of it that way as well, plus the sine of minus theta over 28. And since we have the minus in a sign, that will flip it. So then half of sine of 41 28 theta minus the sine of theta over 28. And since those are definitely not on our nice, neat, pretty 45, 45, 90s or 30, 60, 90s, we'll just go ahead and leave that one there. All right, so the next one we're going to do is do a little bit of work going sum to product. So for this one, we will show. Sometimes they'll say prove. Sometimes they will say derive. On this one, they're encouraging us to do the same thing. I believe this author also uses establish. Establish the identity that, So we're going to show that sine of alpha plus sine of beta is the same as 2 sine of alpha plus beta over 2 cosine of alpha minus beta over 2. So definitely the right-hand side has more going on than the left-hand side. So we'll work with this right-hand side and try to show that it ends up as sine alpha plus sine beta. So we'll start with this 2 sine of alpha plus beta over 2 cosine of alpha minus beta all over 2. So we're going to end up using the same property from before, that sine alpha cosine beta is half of sine alpha plus beta plus sine of alpha minus beta. Now we happen to have this 2 riding out front. I'll just bring him along then. So then we have 2 times 1/2 from the formula there. So sine of alpha plus beta, so this stuff plus that stuff. So alpha plus beta over 2 plus alpha minus beta also over 2 plus sine of alpha minus beta. The alpha being this whole argument, alpha plus beta over 2 minus the entire beta being alpha minus beta over 2. So the 2 and the 1/2 are going to drop. So then we have sine of, we have a common denominator here, so we could really think of that as being one fraction. So I have alpha plus alpha is 2 alpha over 2. And beta over 2 minus beta over 2 is 0. That will drop out. Plus sine of, so alpha over 2 minus alpha over 2, the alpha over 2's are gone. Beta over 2 minus a negative beta over 2 turns into beta over 2 plus beta over 2, so 2 beta over 2. And 2/2 in each case will reduce to 1, so then we have our sine alpha plus sine beta. And we've worked with one side, not touched the other side, and established that they do in fact equal one another. All right, so another proof coming up. So now we're going to show sine alpha minus sine beta is the same as 2 sine of alpha minus beta over 2 cosine of alpha plus beta all over 2. And I would definitely work with the right-hand side of this. So we have 2 sine of alpha minus beta all over 2 cosine of alpha plus beta all over 2. A little hint here, you're going to use that sine alpha cosine beta identity from before, half of sine alpha plus beta, so sine of alpha minus beta. So then we have 2 times 1/2. Those are going to cancel each other out. And then we have sine of, what's sitting where the alpha was in the formula is an entire alpha minus beta all over 2, plus what's sitting where beta was in the formula is the alpha plus beta all over 2. And then according to our formula, then we switch it to a plus, and then we have sine of these two guys with a minus in between them. So the 2.5, 2 times 1/2 will drop. So sine of alpha over 2 plus alpha over 2. 2 alpha over 2 we've seen is alpha, minus beta over 2 plus beta over 2 is 0. So we have sine of alpha over 2 minus alpha over 2 is 0. Minus beta over 2 minus beta over 2, so remember we're distributing this guy, is negative 2 beta over 2. So the negative 2 halves is a 1. And remember, sine of opposite of theta is opposite of sine theta. So we have sine of alpha minus sine of beta, and that's what we were hoping to establish. All right, so let me encourage you to try this next one on your own. So you're going to show cosine alpha plus cosine beta is the same as 2 cosine of alpha plus beta all over 2 cosine of alpha minus beta all over 2. So give that a pause and come on back. Okay, welcome back. So here is our proof. So we're going to use the fact that we have cosine. We know that cosine alpha cosine beta is the same as half of cosine of alpha plus beta over 2 plus, not over 2, my apologies, plus cosine of alpha minus beta. Okay, so we're definitely working with the right-hand side here. So we have 2 times, then follow the formula, 1/2 times then cosine of, now the formula calls for alpha plus beta. So what was standing where alpha was alpha plus beta over 2. What's standing where beta was in the formula is alpha minus beta over 2. And we have our plus, and then we do the cosine of the same 2, but with a minus. So alpha plus beta all over 2 minus alpha minus beta all over 2 as well. So 2 by 1/2, that'll drop down to a 1. 1 times anything is the anything. We don't need to write the 1. So now I have cosine of alpha over 2 plus alpha over 2 is 2 alpha over 2, which is alpha. Beta over 2 minus beta over 2 drops off. Cosine of alpha over 2 minus alpha over 2 is 0. Beta over 2 minus a negative beta over 2 is 2 beta over 2. So cosine alpha plus cosine beta. So on your own, I'm also going to ask you to show cosine alpha minus cosine beta is negative 2 sine of alpha plus beta over 2. Sine of alpha minus beta all over 2. If you get stuck on it, let me know and we can run through that as well. But you should be able to go through the same process we did the last few of them and get to starting with your right side and go to your left side. Excuse me. So let me ask us to then start putting some of this to work. So express as product of sines, cosines. So do cosine of 8 theta plus cosine of 9 theta. So on this one, this is of the form cosine alpha plus cosine beta, and that's 2 cosine of alpha plus beta all over 2 cosine alpha minus beta over 2. So here alpha is 8 theta, beta is 9 theta. So then this would be 2 cosine of 8 theta plus 9 theta, 17 theta over 2 cosine of 8 theta minus 9 theta, negative 1 theta over 2. But remember, cosine of negative theta is the same as cosine theta. So this is 2 cosine 17 theta over 2 cosine theta over 2. Alright, so that should give you enough ammo to start practicing some of these. So in 7-7 I would try 1 to 45 on the odds. If you have any questions, please get in touch. Otherwise, I will see you next time.